Hello all, Geeky Dad back again, here to review this King's fridge that I picked up. It's a 15 litre 12 volt center console fridge slash freezer combo, and I want to compare it with my old 60 litre King's camping fridge freezer. Bought this small one here so we can have it as dedicated as a freezer for some smaller items, or we had the larger one for our general stuff. We used this one on its own just the other day at a private property that we're staying. We didn't need the large fridge because we got to use the one at the property. So this one though, we wanted to have it in a convenient location and just have some small items. We did use it as a fridge in the end rather than a freezer. And let me say that it kept losing its cool and it kept on running on and on and on. So using a lot of power unnecessarily. So I wouldn't be comfortable running both of these together at a campsite and chewing up your battery. If there's weeks, a week that has a lot of cloud or rain, you may not get the full power that you need from your solar panel. So let's get into the details. So my side-by-side comparison, this test is over. So what you see is not, on the displays and such, is not what I was testing the last few days, or what you see on the screen. I removed the cover off the large one to try and keep it the same. Each were about 75% filled. The temperature that I set both of them at was 0 degrees, and both were pre-cooled for a very long time. And the large one was at the time running on max and not in eco mode. This is in eco mode at the moment. So within a 17-minute period, the small fridge ran twice. That's on average about 6 times an hour. This will be more if it was outdoors in the heat that we have at the moment, and this is important to know for later on. Now the big one stayed, even though it was set at 0, it stayed at 1 degree the whole time. The small one kept on yo-yoing between -1 and 3 degrees constantly, and it followed this pattern over the next few days. Now the little one is also full of frost, which tells me there's a lot of air getting inside. So that's supposed to be a silver color, but right now it's all white. So this is a sort of very similar situation, I guess, if you left your freezer door open for a day and it builds up frost. So there's something telling me that there's a lot of air leaking out of this unit, which it should be running a lot more efficiently. I also, afterwards, I set them both to -18 with very similar results. This one just kept on constantly running, and this one, once it got to the set temperature, it just sat there for comfortably for a lot longer. I also used a watt meter to measure how much power each consumed in an hour. I don't have it here next to me at the moment, but it does have Anderson connections, which I used alligator clips, and I measured one at a time to see the amp hours and the wattage and the highest maximum volts. So let me tell you what the little watt meter registered for each fridge. So with the small one, the peak amp was 4.12 amps. The watt peak was 50.5. The amp hours was 0.926 amp hours, so just under 1 amp hour. The highest voltage was, that's not really that important, and the watt hours was 9 watt hours. While running, as mentioned, it didn't max out to that 4 amp peak, but it floats around 3 to 3.5 if I'm sitting there watching it for most times. Now for the large one, mind you, this was a test over an hour. All those figures. I ran the same test for over an hour for the larger one, and the amp peak was 0.05. So in that 1 hour, I basically didn't run at all. It had a 0.6 watt peak, 0 amp hours registered because it's maintained that temperature for the whole hour. It did 12.53 volts, which is not important in our test, and 0 watt hours. So I then on purposely set the temperature to try and have the condenser kick in. And while it was running, it drew a max of 4.6 amps, but it floats around 4 to 4.4 amps. So this one does draw more power when it does kick in, but it doesn't, but once it has the temperature that it needs, it just doesn't need to do anything after that. With this one, it's just constantly churning away. So there you have it. I think I'll be returning this. I said just the fact that it's got frost, and I've put ice packs, ice cream, all in this in my last test. And this one, it's hard to see because it's all white on the inside. This was a bit more full before, but nowhere near as much build-up of ice as the other one has. So there you have it, guys. Take care and have a great one.